The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
There's a moment nobody prepares you for. It's not a dramatic breakdown. It's not a devastating loss. It's not even a conscious choice. It's a quiet instant where you look at the life you've built, the people around you, the version of you that smiles in photos, and you feel, with a clarity that almost hurts, that all of it belongs to someone you no longer are. It's not sadness. It's not ingratitude. It's something stranger and more honest than any word you've ever known. It's the first sign that something inside you woke up before you even had permission to let it. And the most unsettling part isn't the change itself. It's that it didn't come with a manual. Nobody told you it was possible to lose things without feeling the devastation you expected. That relationships could fall apart almost effortlessly, as if they were simply dissolving because they no longer belonged to who you are now. And that absence of pain, that's what scares you more than the pain ever did. What's happening to you has a name, but the name matters less than the experience itself. What matters is that you recognize it. You recognize that feeling of walking through a life that's become too narrow, of smiling in moments that used to fill you up, and feeling only the echo of emptiness where satisfaction used to live. You recognize that quiet voice that keeps insisting, even when you try to silence it, that there's something beyond what you've been shown. And part of you already knows. There's no going back. What I'm about to show you in this video isn't theory. It's not motivation wrapped up in pretty words. It's a map of something that's already happening inside you, whether you're ready to see it or not. The universe has been quietly rerouting your path for a long time now. Not toward where the world expected you to go, but toward where your soul has always known it needed to be. And the discomfort you've been carrying isn't a problem to be solved. It's your destiny in motion. Stay, because what comes next is going to change the way you read the last few months of your life, maybe even the last few years. There's something that happens before any real transformation. Something nobody likes to admit because it sounds like weakness. But it's actually the first sign that something sacred is moving. It's the moment the ground disappears beneath your feet, and you realize, with a chill that starts in your spine and settles in your chest, that the ground that was there was never really solid. It was just familiar. And familiar, for a long time, felt like the same thing as safe. You spent years building a version of yourself that was acceptable, one that fit into the spaces the world opened up for you. That wasn't too much, wasn't too intense, wasn't too strange. You learned to shrink, in concessions so small they seemed reasonable, an opinion swallowed here, a dream postponed there, an inner voice sent away with the promise that later, when the right moment came, you'd finally listen. The moment never came. Or rather, it's coming now, and you're just starting to recognize it. And then something broke. Not with noise, not with drama. It broke in the most silent and most irreversible way possible. Suddenly, relationships that felt essential started revealing their true shape. Connections that only worked because you kept reshaping yourself to fit inside them. Not because there was real love in the form. There was comfort. There was history. There was fear. Always the fear that without those bonds, you'd just be you. And that just you wasn't enough. But here's what dissolution teaches you. If you're brave enough to stop fighting it, what falls apart without effort wasn't being held up by life. It was being held up by your resistance to letting go. And when you finally release it, not by choice, but because you got too exhausted to keep holding on, you discover that what fell wasn't structure, it was weight. And underneath the weight was something you hadn't touched in a long time. The outline of your real shape. And what if the universe wasn't taking things from you, but freeing you from them? Because there's a fundamental difference between losing something and being liberated from it. That difference is what separates those who live in permanent grief over what's gone, from those who can, even in the middle of the storm, feel the invisible current of something greater moving the pieces. What's dissolving in your life right now doesn't belong to your next chapter. It never did. It belonged to a version of you that was necessary for a season, that served its purpose, but has now completed its cycle. The strange lightness you feel when you think about certain losses isn't indifference. It isn't coldness. It's a deep recognition coming from somewhere older than your conscious memory, that it was already over long before you had the courage to admit it, and that the ending wasn't a tragedy. It was a conclusion. Inside the silence you've been mistaking for emptiness, something is taking shape, something ancient in a way your soul already knows, but that your story hadn't yet had the structure to hold. Until now. There's a kind of recognition that doesn't pass through the mind before it reaches the body. It shows up first as a shiver, then as a certainty with no rational explanation, then as the unsettling feeling that you always knew this, you just never had the language to say it out loud. You know that feeling? It's happened in the last few weeks, probably more than once, in moments that seemed completely ordinary. A number that appeared at exactly the right time. A song with the exact lyrics you needed to hear. A phrase from a stranger that was, word for word, the answer to a question you'd asked in silence, without expecting anyone to hear. These aren't coincidences. And deep down, you already know that. What you might still be missing is permission. Permission to actually believe that the universe is in conversation with you, specifically, personally, undeniably. That the synchronicities multiplying around your life aren't just your mind searching for patterns to feel less alone. They're confirmations. They're the language something greater uses when it wants to tell you you're on the right path. Keep going. And this is exactly where most people pull back. Not because they don't believe, but because believing means committing. It means the life you haven't lived yet isn't just a fantasy you use to protect yourself from disappointment. It's a real possibility, one that asks something of you that nobody ever teaches you. The courage to trust before you understand, to move before you can see the full path, to say yes to something that doesn't have a name yet. Surrender isn't weakness. That needs to be said as clearly as possible, because there's a very old and very costly confusion between surrendering and giving up. Giving up is releasing something that still has life inside you. Surrender is recognizing that your intelligence, no matter how sophisticated, operates within a field of vision that is infinitely smaller than the field of vision of what created you. To surrender is to say, I trust that what is being woven for me is more precise than anything I could have woven for myself. And when you truly surrender, not as defeat, but as a choice, something shifts in the texture of the reality around you. Doors you were forcing with your shoulders suddenly appear open from a different angle. The right people show up without any effort on your part. Flow doesn't appear when you push. It appears when you stop resisting it. When you vibrate at the frequency of your deepest truth, reality rearranges itself. What doesn't resonate with you begins to drift away, without drama. What does resonate begins to draw closer, without effort. Not because the universe gives you what you want, but because it recognizes what you are. There's an inheritance nobody mentions in family inventories. It's not in the assets, it's not in the last names, it's in the patterns, in the invisible ways of reacting to fear, of sabotaging love when it arrives too clean, of interrupting your own success at the exact moment it starts to feel real. It lives in the silent belief, passed down through generations like a recessive gene, that suffering is safer than joy, that receiving too much is dangerous, because surely the moment will come when it all gets taken away. You recognize this, maybe not in these words, but as a feeling, as the inexplicable resistance that shows up every time something good is about to become solid in your life, as the impulse to find the flaw, to brace for the blow, to self-sabotage before you can be hurt, because at least that way you keep some control over a pain that, in your family's deepest story, always came anyway. This pattern isn't yours. It never was. But you've carried it as if it were, because it was the only emotional language you knew, because it was the language of your lineage. And here's the extraordinary thing that's happening right now, in this season of your life, which might still feel like just a crisis, just a transition, just a hard phase that will eventually pass. You are ending that pattern, not just for yourself, for everyone who came before you and never had the tools, the awareness, or the opportunity to break it. You are the point of interruption of something that has traveled through generations, not because of some heroic choice, but because your soul arrived in this world carrying the frequency needed to hold what those who came before you could not. This isn't a burden, it's a purpose. The love that's coming into your life is a different quality. It doesn't ask for sacrifice. It doesn't ask you to shrink. It's the kind of love that only finds fertile ground in people who have gone through the process of becoming whole on their own first. You would have sabotaged this before, not out of bad intentions, but because you didn't yet have the structure to hold it. Now you do. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from a place of wholeness that was only possible because you walked through what you walked through. Every unraveling was a preparation. Every loss was a liberation. And the discomfort you carried wasn't a sign that something was broken in you. It was your destiny pulling you out of a life that had become too small for the soul you're being called to inhabit. It was the call, and you answered. You made it here because something in you recognized, not with the mind, not with logic, with that quieter, older layer, the one that knows without needing to be convinced, and that recognition is already a kind of arrival. The weight you were carrying wasn't your enemy. It was the messenger, the most honest part of you, insisting that the life you were living was good. But it wasn't yours. You've crossed that threshold now. And on the other side, there's no perfection. There's something rarer than that. Alignment. The feeling of living from the inside out. Hold on to this. Nothing was wasted, not even what hurt, especially what hurt. One day you'll look back and understand, with a clarity that might bring silence or tears, or both at the same time, that everything arrived at exactly the right moment, that even what looked like a mistake was stitching. If something here touched something real in you, you already know what to do next. Not because someone's asking you to, but because it's part of who you're becoming. Someone who, when they find something true, doesn't keep it to themselves. They share it, because there's someone in your life right now who needs to hear exactly this. Subscribe to the channel. What was opened here continues. And every video is a piece of something larger, made for those who decided, just like you decided today, that it's time to finally, truly live.